Most men are making adult decisions based on a child's conclusions. If your current income or relationships feel like a struggle, your nervous system is likely trapped in a primal state of fight or flight. Today, I'm showing you how to reboot your internal system using the map of consciousness so you can stop surviving and start winning. We're going live, baby.
We'll do it live.
You're listening to the premier podcast for men who want to not only be better with women, but want to be better men in general. This is the Come On Man podcast. And here's your host,
Paul Bauer.
Paul Bauer.
Paul Bauer.
Paul Bauer.
Paul Bauer.
Paul Bauer.
Paul Bauer. He is a certified master life coach and NLP practitioner.
It's true. It's damn true. What's up, fellas? It's Frame Friday again, the most important episode of the week. If you are new to the channel, my name is Paul Bauer. I help men level up and get better with women. And the funny thing about doing that is it tends to make us better men in all areas of our lives. Now, your income, your relationships, and your physical health are nothing more than a physical printout of what you believe is possible for you. If those results aren't where you want them, it's because your nervous system is currently trapped in a lie. We've been conditioned to think that tightness in our chest or low-grade anxiety is just the cost of doing business. But according to David Bayer, if a belief puts you in a primal state of fight or flight, it's almost certainly false. You aren't stressed. You're just operating from a story that was designed for predators, not your career or your relationships. Today, I'm showing you how to cross the 200 line of the map of consciousness. We're going to stop broadcasting frequencies of fear and anger and move into a state of courage where the world actually starts working for you instead of against you. By the end of this episode, you'll have a specific exercise to identify the contradiction in your body and flip it into an empowering truth. So let's stop surviving and start a full systems reboot. Now, I got this idea from David Bayer's book, A Changed Mind, which is actually a pretty good book. It does have a little bit of woo-woo in there, just a fair warning, but I'm way into that crap. You know that. But my biggest takeaway from that book was basically his method of identifying self-limiting beliefs. And I thought it was actually pretty genius. It's so simple, right? Because I'm also, right now I'm listening to probably the world's longest book. It's called Reality Transurfing. And this guy, Vladimir Zealand, I think is his name. He makes everything so complicated. Everything's so complicated. But David Bayer's like, look, if whatever it is that you believe to be true is like creating a knot in your stomach, that just means it's just not true. It's like, oh, well, that's pretty simple, right? So then you have to think of like, what is true, right? We'll get into all that today, right? But there's beliefs that are quietly running your life, okay? You don't actually make a lot of these decisions on your own, okay? Your beliefs do. Every result you have right now, your income, your relationships, your physique is just a printout of what you believe is possible for you, right? This is what we call paradigms, right? Which I talk about in Psychology Paradigm. It's a part of the Essential Skills of a Masculine Presence series. But a lot of us don't even realize that we have these subconscious programs that are essentially just, programs. If you're more of a computer nerd, right? You have these subroutines that just run and just, or you have functions that just do a certain job every day. We have those too in our brains, and we call them paradigms, and they are planted as seeds in your mind from when you're a small child up until about 3 or 4. I think it's 3 or 4. You're just a walking subconscious mind, right? This is why most people don't they can't really recall anything before the age of 3 at the most. Most people can't, right? And that's because you don't really develop your conscious mind until, after that. So during that time, especially when you're that age, you're just absorbing everything, and it's creating these models in your mind of what to believe, and a lot of that's why it's really hard for someone who's born into poverty to like break out of that. They think, oh, this is just how life is, right? Oh, and there's the haves and there's the have-nots, and I just happen to be born into the have-nots section, and this is crap, right? But we all know of stories of rags to riches, right? We know it's possible, but for us, because of our paradigms, we believe it's not possible for us. It's possible for those guys. They have something different, right? There's no difference. The difference is in belief, right? So that's what's running your life right now. And if you're not getting the results that you want, you have to start up here with what you believe. By the way, guys, I do have new episodes every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday without fail. So please like, subscribe, hit those notifications, okay? Just a heads up, not this next week, but the week after. So the 17th and then the following, the 20th, those are going to be pre-recorded episodes because Nurse Chick and I are going to Las Vegas. We are going to see WrestleMania this year. And it's going to be our anniversary gift to ourselves because we actually, we met. And I'm giving her the benefit of the doubt here, but on our second date, we watched WrestleMania. So we're going out to a live WrestleMania. It's kind of a bucket list thing. So those 2 episodes will be pre-recorded, but we will have an episode. You don't worry about that. Okay. You don't worry about that. So let's talk about our nervous system a little bit. Our nervous system actually doesn't lie to us. It's pretty cool. It's a pretty good lie detector in itself. Your body is the world's most accurate belief detector. If you didn't know, okay? The moment you feel that tightness in your chest, that knot in your stomach, that low-grade anxiety, it's not stress. That's your nervous system telling you you're operating from a story that just isn't true, okay? Now, I'm not talking, now some of you guys out there are gonna be like, well, no, if guys coming at me with a knife, that's very real, Paul. Like that's not what we're talking about. That's not what we're talking about, right? We'll talk about like for this, if we want to talk about red pill, maybe pickup artistry type stuff. If you are afraid to go talk to that girl across the room and you start getting a knot in your stomach and you're like, oh, I'm just going to be bothering her or whatever. That's what I'm talking about. Okay. That's a self-limiting belief. That's not true. Okay. So your belief that you're going to bother her and that you shouldn't go talk to her or that she's just going to reject you, whatever it is that you're telling yourself that's causing that knot in your stomach, that's the lie. Okay. That's what I'm talking about. All right. And it's a primal state. Your body is now in a primal state of fight or flight. That's why you're developing that fear. Okay. And it can become a trap for you. So fight, flight, or freeze wasn't really designed for, walking up to a girl in a supermarket. It wasn't really designed for problems in your career and getting afraid that your boss might fire you because you screwed up this one thing. It's not your marriage where you're afraid that your wife's going to yell at you about whatever. Okay. It was designed for predators. It was designed to protect you from saber-toothed tigers. Okay. It's a very important thing for survival. But in our modern age, we don't really have a lot of the dangers that we did in the primitive hunter-gatherer times. Okay. Like, yeah, we still have some dangers. I mean, if you live in Chicago, for instance, right, like you might get murdered there. Right. But like out here in cow country, it's relatively safe out here. We don't really have to deal with a lot of that stuff. So the thing is that we still have it. This is still a feature in our operating system, but because we don't really have real dangers anymore, now we worry about other dumb stuff. Okay. So your brain doesn't know the difference between a lion and that boss's email that you've been dreading for a week, right? When you're in that state, you're not thinking, you're surviving. Okay. You're operating on instinct from that point. A lot of what we teach in this space about frame, about emotional control, is about understanding when you're reacting out of emotion or fear and not operating or responding from a place of rationality or logic, right? So that a lot of that's where frame comes in. And most of us aren't. Most of us aren't trained to do that. We react. We don't respond. Okay. So that takes a little bit of effort and training, but it's totally possible. Okay. That's why we have Frame Fridays. Okay. Now, what's really cool, I tried listening to Dr. Hawkins' lecture on this, but he created what's called a map of consciousness. And it's pretty fascinating if you think about it. I don't know. The dude's a doctor, so I'm assuming that he did some scientific stuff with it. But Dr. Hawkins is also pretty woo-woo. He wrote some really good books. One of my most favorite books that he wrote is called The Power of Letting Go. The Power of Letting Go will change your life. It's a great book. There's another book that's on my reading list that he wrote called Power versus Force. And he talks a lot about this, right? The map of consciousness is one of the things he's best known for. And I tried listening to his audiobook where it's basically just a lecture where he's explaining all this stuff. And it was so boring. It was so boring to try to listen to this without this visual aid that I was like, I just can't, and it's pretty self-explanatory. You don't really need a whole lot of audiobook to just look at this, like to Google it. So if you Google A Map of Consciousness by Dr. David Hawkins, you'll find lots of different versions of this here. But Hawkins figured out what emotions the energy that they put out, right? Because we talk about a lot in the woo-woo space of masculine energy and feminine energy and frequencies and all this kind of stuff, right? But it's funny because a lot of the guys in the red pill space don't like the woo-woo. I fucking love it, right? I fucking love this shit. And like Rollo, for instance, and I love Rollo, okay? Like you might think if you've seen our interactions on X lately that we're at odds. I wouldn't say I'm at odds with Rollo at all. In fact, I agree 100% with him. He's got a different point of view on certain things, but they're not the wrong point of view. Like I would never go into a debate with Rollo. And if I even tried, he would fucking wreck me, So I'm not trying to debate Rollo, but one of the things that Rollo says, he's always like, what do you mean energy, right? Like, what are you talking about? Like masculine energy and stuff like that. Well, this is what we're fucking talking about. Okay. So Dr. Hawkins, used EKGs and EEG devices and would test multiple people to see what frequencies their energy was putting out when they were in a certain state of emotion. Okay, you could think of emotion as energy in motion. Okay, that's where we get some of these frequencies. Okay, so let's just start at the bottom because this is really where the bottom half is really where you're in a primal state a lot of the times. Okay, at the very bottom is shame. Right, shame is the lowest energetic frequency that you could probably put off. It's actually lower than apathy, which is sad because usually when people get down into this space, they want to unalive themselves, right? And one of the beautiful things about the red pill space is we try to reach guys who are in the lowest point. You know what I mean? Like a lot of guys find their way to the red pill space because they're down here and they're on the verge of zeroing out. Why? Because men are idealists, right? Men are idealists and we believe in the fairy tale. We believe in happily ever after. We think we're Prince Charming. We get married. We want to marry. We want to have 2.5 kids. And we love our families. We want to protect and provide for them. But then when all that comes crashing down and we have all this identity in our relationships, we tend to fall way down into the survival paradigm. And a lot of guys get so far below that they don't see any way forward and they unalive themselves, right? So the guys that can actually find the space, find the answers that they're looking for, we can actually get them out of it, right? It's not easy. It's not overnight. There's 5 stages of unplugging. But we can eventually get guys up here where they're empowered, where they're taking control of their life, where they're not letting these old rules rule them. Okay. And that's the goal. That's the goal of these Frame Fridays. So down here at the bottom, right, we have shame, guilt, apathy, grief. And then we got fear, desire, and anger. Okay. Like if your wife is pissing you off, if you get mad at someone online because they're stupid or because they believe the wrong political ideology, right? And you're mad at them, and you want to blast them and stuff. You're operating down here in a survival paradigm. You're operating in a survival paradigm. Okay. This is why, I often talk about like getting in arguments with women. It's stupid. It's pointless, right? Because a lot of that stuff brings you down into your survival paradigm. It brings you down here into a survival state of anger or pride, right? You're not empowered when you're arguing with stupid women online. Okay. You're not empowered. You're not empowered if you're arguing with your wife at all. Okay. Just let her be wrong. Okay. It's okay. Just let her be wrong. See, this is where like Hawkins' book, The Power of Letting Go, so good. Okay. But where the real difference is right after pride, we start getting into courage, right? We start getting into courage. We move up to neutrality. Neutrality is actually pretty easy to get into, right? If you can't find yourself getting into like reason, love, joy, peace, enlightenment, or, most of us never will reach enlightenment. But if you can't get up here, at least being neutral would be good, right? This is where indifference makes a difference. Okay. This is where, guys, when we talk about, passing shit tests, right? Passing shit tests. I usually say you have indifference and agree and amplify. Those are your two easiest go-to tools. Okay. And then you might hear in the space too of amused mastery. Well, the thing is that when you get really good at indifference and agree and amplify, and you start seeing shit tests over and over again, you start recognizing them and they all look the same. And you notice that women use the same shit test on everybody. And now it becomes amusing because you've seen this test 1,000 times and you know exactly how to handle it. You know exactly what she's doing. You realize that women are goofy bastards, that they're just the most responsible teenager in the house. You don't get mad at it anymore. You're not down here in a survival paradigm. You find it funny and amusing, which actually brings you up here in the joy paradigm. Right? you sort of like you when you're laughing and you're having fun with things, you're more up here in the love and joy area, and even up here in the peace area. This is why I tell guys, women will never bring you peace. Okay, women only bring you drama. Peace starts from up here. It's how you look at things will create peace for you. Women will never bring you peace. You create your own peace by how you're looking at things. Okay, and when you're at peace, that's really when you're at a high vibration, right? You're at a high energetic level. Okay. So it's pretty cool. If you think about it from this point of view, I'll give you this visual for you guys that are listening on audio. You just do a Google search for a map of consciousness. You'll see what I'm talking about. Okay. Now let me ask you guys, looking at the map of consciousness, where do you honestly find yourself operating most of the time? Are you stuck below that 200 line in the frequency of fear or pride, or have you made the jump into courage yet? Okay, let me know either in the chat or down below if you're watching the replay, and just be honest. Okay, do you find yourself mad a lot? If you find yourself mad a lot, you need to work on that. You need to work on that. What's really funny is if you talk to my kids, like, and you ask them how I was 15 years ago, right? Like, even 10 years ago, they'll be like, oh, my dad has anger problems. Because I would lose my shit at so much stuff, right? The other day, what happened to my son? My son got pulled over by the cops for the first time. He got pulled over by the cops. I'm kind of proud of him. So he's driving to school. He's going too fast in the morning, and he's heading to school up the street. And he got pulled over by the Delta County Sheriff's Department. And he didn't have his updated insurance card, so they could have like taken the car away for that. He was speeding. They let him go with a warning because he was on his way to school. And he texts me and he goes, "Hey, Dad, I just want you to know I got pulled over by the cops. I'm so sorry." Right. And I go, "Did they give you a ticket?" And he goes, "No." I go, "Oh, good." He goes, no, but they told me that my insurance card was expired. I go, you're right. You know what? I need to print out a new one for you. Thanks for the reminder. And he was like, he got home from school and he goes, Dad, I thought you were going to be pissed at me. I was like, yeah, I've been working on that. I've been working on that for several years now, son. I don't tend to get mad easily. Though Nurse Chick finally heard me the other day lose my shit. I lost my shit, my fucking cat the other day. My cat in my office over here in the corner has been decided that that's a good pee spot, right? And she'll do it in front of me. Like I'll be here at work and I'll just hear the sound of cat urine coming out, and I look over and she's fucking pissing, just like in my face, right? Pissing. And that's been a problem. I think I finally got it resolved though. She hasn't peed over here in a while. I've got this really cool electronic device that puts out a frequency that cats don't like. And so they've been staying away from it. I've been making sure that the cat box has been really clean. Anyway, I've been working on it, but oh my God, Nurse Chick was like folding laundry or something like that. I just lost my shit, start screaming at the cat. And it dawned on me in the moment, like, oh God, I just lost my cool. I just really lost my cool right now. And I went to Nurse Chick. I was like, I know you heard all that. I apologize. I shouldn't have lost my cool like that. And she was like, yeah, I've never heard you like that before. I was like, well, this is what that looks like. But Nurse Chick's never gotten me to that place. Nurse Chick's never done anything to remotely even make me mad. So yeah, it's kind of interesting. I'm not perfect, but you know, and you won't be either. But we strive to get better at some of this stuff. Anyway, most men are actually living somewhere between fear and pride, and they think they're fine. They think that's just how life is, right? Well, fear is at, where's fear at? Fear is at 100, okay? And anger is at 150, pride at 175. This is where most guys are camped out, anxious about money, pissed about what's not working, too proud to admit that they need to change something or that they might need some help with it, right? You're in a state of survival all the time. This is why you're feeling anxious all the time. This is why you're ruminating all the time. This is why some of you guys feel depressed, right? We just had our Wolfpack hangout. Was it last week? I think it was last week. We had our Wolfpack hangout. One of our brothers in there, I'm not picking on him, right? But one of the things that he was talking about, this is actually kind of inspired this episode. He was talking about his money fears, and you could just tell, just his physiology, the way he's talking about it, you could tell he was living in this primal state. So one of his big things is that he and his live-in girlfriend are buying a new house, right? They've decided to sign the contract. They're going to be buying a new house. And all he can think about is how tight money is going to be while they're paying for this house, right? He's like, it's going to be rough, man. It's going to be rough. I'm going to have to work extra hours. You know, it's been a struggle at work lately, and I don't know how I'm going to make ends meet and all this kind of stuff. And we asked him, well, do you have an emergency fund? You know, do you have, well, I've been trying to save this up, but I just don't have enough money left over, you know, and that's the thing with money. And I might do some episodes about money. Drop a 1 in the chat if you want me to do some episodes about money. One of the things that a lot of guys who aren't great with money, most of us aren't, you know, the average person sucks with money, right? Not to shit on our friend here, but most people don't pay themselves first. Rich people always pay themselves first, then they pay the bills. Okay. Most people pay the bills and then whatever's left over, they try to save. But when they do that, it's miraculous. There's never any money left over. Right. So what I told him to do is I said, hey, to get you out of this fear, okay, I want you to just, when you get paid, because I think he said like once a month, he sits down and pays the bills. Right. I go, when you sit down to pay the bills, look at what's in your bank account and take 10% and put that away. However you want to do it. A lot of people use IRAs, 401ks. I look at IRAs, 401ks, those types of retirement vehicles. I look at those like they're bills. Okay. So when I talk about paying myself first, I'm already accounting that in the bills. So I'm talking about an emergency fund type, like, you know, cash flow, easily access liquidatable, money, right? So you're putting it in an Acorns account, maybe even investing in crypto a little bit, even though that's a little more risky. But something like that, like an Acorns account is probably best for this. Take 10% of what you bring in and put that away, then pay your bills. Okay. When you develop that habit, eventually you're going to have enough money in your emergency fund to have some peace of mind. So if anything bad happens about money, you're not worried about it. Okay. But you're operating in a state of survival when you're living paycheck to paycheck. And anybody, even a guy who's living paycheck to paycheck right now, even a guy who's living on minimum wage right now can take 10%. You won't even miss it. Okay. Right. Let's say you got a paycheck of $100. That 10% is, it's $10. Like you won't even miss it. You would spend more on that going out to eat. Okay. So just take 10%, put it away. You probably will have more than enough left over for bills. You'll be fine. All right. Just get in the habit of doing that. Eventually, over time, when money problems happen, you're not going to worry about it because you've got this cushion here. Okay. So you got to develop a plan. A lot of times, just having a plan will bring you out of that survival paradigm and give you a little bit of that courage. Right. So that 200 line, that's really the everything. Okay. Courage is at 200. It's the first level where life starts working for you instead of at you or against you. Below 200, the world looks threatening. Everything's a problem. Life's a grind. Like I saw a guy on Facebook the other day talking about working out, and it was a joke post. Okay. You guys got to stop taking my shit posting seriously. So some guy said doing 20 push-ups a day will change your life or something was the post on X, which isn't even that much, right? 20 push-ups a day would be nothing. Okay. The sad thing is most guys can't even do 20 push-ups in one sitting. Okay. But the guy says 20 push-ups a day will save your life. And I joked, have you guys ever heard of the anime? I think it's a TV series called One Punch Man, or maybe it's a movie. But anyway, One Punch Man is this sort of superhero character from Japan. And he says you do 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups, 100 squats, and run 10K every single day. Right. And so I joked about that. And I was like, oh, 20 push-ups is nothing. Do 100 push-ups, 100. Right. And then I put a picture of One Punch Man at the bottom as a joke. Anyway, this guy in the comments goes, oh, that's bullshit. Some of us have to pay bills and stuff. We don't have time to do all that crap. Right. That's a guy who's operating in a survival paradigm. Okay, we all have the same 24 hours in a day. You could do 20 push-ups, bro. Okay, and if you wanted to do 100 push-ups, you could do 5 sets of 20 push-ups throughout the day, and you'll knock out 100 easily. Okay, so I go to work and pay bills is fucking bullshit. Okay, it's a lie. You're operating in a survival paradigm. All right, now we'll put this away here for now. So your belief isn't necessarily the truth. It's just the oldest story that went unchallenged. If you guys ever read the book, going back to money, if you guys ever read the book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, okay, by Robert Kiyosaki. Now, I've heard that the story is a fabrication. It's not true. Robert Kiyosaki's a fraud. I don't know. It's a good book, though, okay? It's a good book. Gets you thinking differently about money. And one of the biggest takeaways I got from that book is the difference in the beliefs about money between his rich dad, which wasn't even his real dad. And allegedly, it was his best friend's dad, who was a wealthy business owner in Hawaii. And then his dad, his biological dad, was a school teacher who basically lived paycheck to paycheck his whole life. Now, a good difference in this is if he needed a bike, if he wanted a brand new bike, he'd go to his dad and say, Dad, I need a new bike. And his poor dad, his biological dad, would say, oh, we can't afford that right now. Oh, sorry, son, we can't afford that right now. But his rich dad would change that into more of an empowering mindset. He would say, okay, well, how can we? What can we do to get this money? Right? Do you see the difference there? One is I can't, or we can't afford that. We don't have enough money right now. It's all impossibility. The rich dad operated in a paradigm of we can. He's operating in a paradigm of it's possible, right? How can we? It's a totally different mindset, right? Same problem. You probably don't have enough money right now, But if you operate from the idea of how can I do this? You'll start figuring out ways to make something possible. You'll start living in the reality of possibility. All right. This is the problem with like incel guys and black-pilled MGTOW type guys, right? They're operating in a paradigm of impossibility. Oh, it's impossible to get the women I want. Oh, all these women are like this. Women are only going for the top 5% of men. I might as well just give up in life, right? They're all thinking about why they can't. They're looking at all the statistics online about why they can't do any of this stuff. I can't do this. Instead of thinking about how can I do this? Okay. Yeah. Oh, dating apps suck. Dating apps don't work. All the women on dating apps are going for the top 10% of men. How can you get into that top 10%? What are the 10% guys doing differently? Right? I guarantee most of those top 10% guys aren't much better looking than you. Okay. They probably aren't. They probably just have better pictures, better bio. They know how to open, they know how to close, right? There's a method to the madness on dating apps, but you're thinking about all the reasons why you can't. Okay. So your belief isn't necessarily the truth. It's just the oldest story that went unchallenged. And most of your core beliefs about yourself were formed before you're even 10 years old. Okay. A kid absorbing information with zero critical thinking skills created a belief in your subconscious mind that tells you what's possible and what's not. Okay. You've been making adult decisions based on a child's conclusions. Think about that for a minute. That's what I'm talking about when I'm talking about your paradigms and the programs that are operating your mind. Now, that being said, I wrote a book a couple of years ago on how to rewire some of those subconscious beliefs. And a lot of them are also really killing your relationships in life. They're killing your ability to set the tone and lead in all areas of your life. And you need to reprogram those.
Have you ever felt like something's holding you back in your relationships? Like you're always on the back foot, struggling to connect with women? You're not alone. Many men are taught to be weak, to defer, to play small around women by their upbringing, by society, by the very world that shaped them. But what if you could break free from the invisible chains that have held you back? What if you could rewrite the script, reprogram the paradigm that's been running your life? This is your chance to step into the man you were always meant to be. In The Essential Skills of a Masculine Presence, Psychology Paradigm by Paul Bauer, the first book in R.P. Thor's groundbreaking series, you'll learn how to understand and transform the paradigms that have shaped your life. You'll discover how to develop a dominant masculine presence, one that commands respect, inspires trust, and brings fulfillment to your relationships. Don't wait for life to change on its own. Take control. Order your copy of The Essential Skills of a Masculine Presence, Psychology Paradigm now on Amazon. Available in hardcover, paperback, or on Kindle. This is more than a book. It's your roadmap to a life of purpose, strength, and success. Make the decision today. Reprogram your life and step into the man you were meant to be.
Indeed. Guys, just a friendly reminder, smashing like is alpha. Let's see here. Resilient Man Coaching. This is brother Nathan from the Wolfpack guys. He says, happy Friday. He also says, get in the Wolfpack, best group of men around. True. And guys, just a reminder, we are having our monthly pack pod class, private pod class tomorrow. What are we talking about? I can't remember. We're talking about what do you want, right? It's the first step in being your own mental point of origin is figuring out what the fuck do you want. And so we're going to talk about that. Brother Hoochie Daddy from Wolfpack suggested it as a pod class. So we're gonna do a workshop tomorrow, guys. So bring a pen and paper if you guys are in the Wolfpack. If you're not in Wolfpack, what are you doing with your life? And then Brother Nathan also, guys. Brother Nathan does divorce strategy coaching, right? So if you're a guy going through the ringer in divorce court right now, go work with this guy. He went through the most horrendous fucking divorce I've ever heard in my life, and came out better on the other side for it. I'll drop a link to his book in the chat. It's called Divorce is War. It's available on Amazon and Audible. And he is paying me to say that with this $5,000 super chat. Get one of Paul's books and pick up mine while you're at it. He says, fine. Okay. I'll give him this one.
Respect the cock and tame the cunt.
Absolutely. That's what we do on this channel, guys. And then Kamal says, hello, resilient man. How did your cake and its icing taste today? Brother Nathan doesn't like the great cake of a life analogy. He prefers Sundays. Let's see. He says, Frame Friday, let's go. Dar Fitness in the house. He says, happy Friday, gents. Smashing that like button is alpha. That's true. And okay, they're having a conversation in the chat here. Ty says, morning, guys. Oh, it's chart time. Here we go. Paul is the chart man, and Kamal says he thinks he can run chart game on us. That's right. It's the map of consciousness, guys. It's map game. It's a map game. Okay. Speaking of which, you guys if you guys are just joining us, I shared this. This is David Hawkins' map of consciousness. It's pretty interesting to think about, right? And how our feelings and where we land in this chart. You know, we're all supposed to be these rational males. We're supposed to be rational males in the red pill space, right? Shout out to Rolo Tomasi. Well, in order to be rational, you sort of have to be above this 200 line, right? To have some reason and integrity, right? But a lot of you guys that are new to the red pill space are still operating in your survival paradigm, right? That's where the red pill rage phase is, down here in the anger zone. Got to work on that shit, guys. Got to work on that shit. All right. So most men are living somewhere between fear and pride, and they think they're fine. Oh, we talked about that already. Okay. The feeling is the clue. Okay. The feeling is the clue, not the enemy. So this is a big difference in the space. When we talk about emotional control, we talk about stoicism a lot. You know, I talk about stoicism in psychology paradigm. We're talking about controlling of our emotions, not suppressing them. Okay. So, if you think about it, your feelings themselves give you insight into what's really going on. So don't try to pack them down. Don't try to resist them. The problem is when you're trying to resist anything, it persists. It stays much longer. It's kind of fascinating. It's one of the things I learned from Dr. Hawkins' book on the power of letting go. But when we resist that feeling, that negative feeling, most of us are trying to fight it. We don't like it. We don't like this feeling of fear and anger and stuff like that. But the more we try to fight it, the more we hold on to it. And this is where anxiety comes in. This is where depression comes in. We hold on to this shit. And our minds have this negativity bias that makes us want to hold on to that negativity, right? The thing is that positive feelings, right, above that 200 line, those positive feelings naturally just flow to and through us. We don't even think about it. Like, we're happy in the moment. Everything's good. We don't hold on to that happiness. Like, oh, I'm so happy. Oh man, I just can't stop thinking about how happy I am. Most people don't. They feel happy in the moment and then they move on to the next thing, right? They let it go. But anger and fear and all that kind of stuff, we hold on to that shit. And so the big thing in the power of letting go is learning how to not fight it, not try to suppress it, but to identify that negative feeling and try to figure out what it's trying to tell you, right? So just sit with it. Just sit with it. Don't try to fight it. Just sit with it and try to use your miraculous third party observer effect that we all have. Okay. We have this miraculous ability in our minds to sit back and look at our own thoughts like an observer, right? You might call this the I, or the I am in your body. Okay. The I am is able to look at your thoughts and feelings objectively. Okay. It's pretty cool. So if you take the time when you're in the state of fear, anxiety, anger, worry, anything like that, just sit with it. Why am I feeling this way? Right? Like, why am I, and just observe without judgment. Like, don't beat yourself up for feeling that way. Just what is it telling you about yourself? right? What's it telling you about your beliefs in that moment? And then just try to let it go. And you'll find that these negative feelings that you have, especially if it's creating anxiety and all that kind of stuff, you'll find that they'll go away much faster. And the more you practice this, the faster you'll get rid of this stuff. But most of you guys are holding on to this shit for days and months sometimes, right? Guys that are you can still see it. Like I was seeing it in the chat this morning, not beating up on anybody in particular, right? But there was someone in the chat this morning talking about one of his plates and how he's not going to see her ever again because she's a lying bitch or whatever. And so the guys were sort of like, walking him through his thought process on this sort of thing. And then he immediately starts going off about his ex-wife and shit like that. You could tell when a guy's not over his ex yet, when he can't stop talking about his ex, and she's still keeping him in this negative state, right? In this primal state. Okay. Once you truly get over that shit, your ex won't put you in that primal state anymore. Right. It's kind of interesting. Okay. So when you're feeling these types of negativities, just sit with it. Okay. Think about an area of your life right now that's not working. What's the story you're telling yourself about it? Okay. Say it out loud, right? Say it out loud right now, unless there's other people around, then at least think it to yourself out, think it to yourself. Does that story make you feel powerful, or does it make you feel contracted or scared or whatever? What does it make you feel? Does it make you feel anxious? Does it make you feel like you can't get past it, that there's no way out? Are you stuck? Because that's the whole game right here. Just how does it make me feel? Right? These thoughts I'm having, how does it make me feel? Okay. And I know in the red pill space, women operating on their emotions, but men don't ever do that. Men don't ever operate on their emotions, do they? We are rational beings. We're logical, and those women are illogical. Is that true? I don't think that's true. Okay. But if your feelings are putting you in a primal state, it's probably not true. It's probably not true. It's probably just some kind of story that you're telling yourself. This is why when guys are getting pissed off at their wives, I always invite them to say, now, did she truly fuck up? Did she truly do something malicious? Right? Or are you telling yourself a story about it? Like, what story are you telling yourself about this that makes you feel however you're feeling about it? Okay. This is what I want you to think about. Okay. Because if it's pissing you off at all, it's putting you in a primal state. So you need to sit back and go, okay, why am I pissed off about this? Right? What story am I telling myself about this? Okay. If it puts you in a primal state, it's probably not true. Okay. And this is the core idea. This is my biggest takeaway from David Bayer's book, A Changed Mind. I highly recommend it. If you guys are looking for a new audio book and you're done listening to my shit for a while, listen to David Bayer's book. Okay. He does get into the woo-woo a little bit, but it's not overbearing, and he doesn't do it from a totally out there perspective. He's pretty grounded with his woo-woo shit, which I really liked. Okay. But truth, the real truth, it expands you. Okay. A belief that shuts you down, makes you feel helpless, or sends you into anxiety, it's almost always a distortion of reality. You could probably find evidence that it's not really true. Okay. And a good example of this is, when I talked about rags to riches stories earlier, right? If you're born in poverty, other people who have been born in your situation have gotten out of it somehow, but you, for some reason, think it's not possible for you. Okay. So when I go, hey, why can't you get out of poverty? Why can't you do it? Why can't you be a millionaire? Right? You'll probably probably create a little bit of anxiety in you, probably create a little pit in your stomach, and then you'll come up with a million reasons why you can't. Right? But when you sit down and go, we'll have other people do it, and you really sit down to think about, look for evidence of the opposite, you'll find plenty of it. You'll find plenty. So then you know, well, if other people have done it too, then I know that what I'm feeling right now is not true. Okay. And your nervous system is rejecting it. This is why you're feeling negative when you're telling yourself something that's not true. Your nervous system's rejecting it. It's like, that's not true. It's not true. Okay. But your mind is keeping you there. Now, this is something cool with reality transfer surfing model, right? Is that one of the things that he talks about, he's looking at things from a different point of view. He's looking at the mind like it's one thing, and like your subconscious sort of is your heart. So he's like, your heart knows, right? Your heart doesn't think, it knows. Okay. So when you're feeling like these anxious feelings or whatever, it's because your heart knows something different, and your heart and your mind aren't aligned. Okay. Is that true or not? Whatever. A lot of this stuff is just good mental models that to help you get ahead in life. It really doesn't matter how you look at these things. And one of the things I love about the reality transurfing model is that's exactly what he says. Like, this is just another model of explaining things. Okay. So however you like to look at things, whatever's helpful for you, it's kind of like what that bastard Ryan Stone says, right? You can tell a guy that the moon's made out of cheese, and if it gets him to go to the gym, then by God, it's made out of cheese. That's what's important about the woo-woo space to me, right? Can it be effective? Can it be effective? Yes, it can. Okay. So I want you to think about it from that point of view. If you're thinking about anything and it's causing you to be in this primal state, it's probably not true. So then you need to sit down and start thinking of the opposite of that. Okay. Before we get into all that stuff, though, do consider sending a super chat like Brother Nathan. Even if you don't have a book to plug, right? Like, just send a super chat if you get value out of this stuff. Okay. So a lot of guys don't get better women, right? Because they think that these women are out of their league somehow. A lot of guys don't make more money or don't shoot for a better job because they don't think that they're good enough for it. Brother AJ, I say Brother AJ because he's actually one of my dragon brothers. He was telling me the other day, he just got a new job. He's like head honcho at some data center now. But he came from a place where he was a worker bee, and now he's sort of in this management position, and it's new to him, and so he feels a sense of imposter syndrome. Okay, imposter syndrome. How many of you guys have ever felt imposter syndrome? Right? I have. I feel it all the fucking time. I feel it all the time. Not just in this space, but in every job I've ever done. I've always like gotten to a position and at first felt like I shouldn't be here. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just winging it. I'm just, the funny thing is that almost everybody does that. Almost everybody has imposter syndrome, and almost everybody is just winging it until they figure it out. Okay. So the fact, like, a lot of people think I'm not good enough, right? But that type of story, that type of disempowering belief, it's never once been helpful to anybody. I'm not good enough. I can't do that. It's never helped anybody at all. Okay. It's never made you better. It's never solved a problem. It's never built anything. All it's ever done is keep you small and give you a reason not to try. Okay. So why are you still letting that type of belief drive you? Okay. And this is going back to the incels. This is exactly what the incels do, right? They look at all these reasons. They look at all these statistics. This is why you don't often hear me spout off about a lot of statistics on this channel, because I don't find them helpful. Okay. Now, if you go to the research and development branch of the Red Pill, they'll show you all sorts of statistics. Okay. And some guys do find that stuff useful. That's great. Okay. But what I often find in this space is that a lot of guys use those statistics as a reason to give up, as a reason why they can't. And that is incredibly disempowering. Okay. So I want you guys to flip it. Any kind of belief that's putting you in that negative state, I want you to flip it. What's the opposite of your limiting belief? Okay. If you ever read the book, The Kybalion, which I think is a phenomenal book. It's very esoteric, sort of metaphysical type book, but it's really simplified, and it's based on Hermetic philosophy that goes back to a couple hundred years before Jesus or whatever. And they have this, they talk about the 7 hermetic principles of the universe, like how they believe the universe it works, right? And one of the things is one of the hermetic principles is the law of polarity, okay, which says that, nothing's really black and white. Okay, we have red pill and blue pill, right? Stuff like that. But you have hot and cold, you have north and south. But the thing is about those polar opposites is that they all meet in some angle, right? They're different, but only in degree. There's no place on the thermometer where it becomes absolute cold or absolute hot. It gradually becomes hot or cold. And at no point on that spectrum can you say, okay, now this is hot, right? Because at some point it's still just lukewarm, right? So you got to think about those types of beliefs too, okay? Any kind of negative belief, there's a polar opposite to that. And somewhere on that spectrum is reality, okay? So what's the opposite of your limiting belief? If the belief is like, I always fail when it matters, the opposite is I'm capable of coming through when it counts, right? Or I always figure it out, okay? Say that. That's more empowering. I'm capable of coming through when it counts. Dr. Robert Glover in Dating Essentials for Men talks about a lot of guys have, approach anxiety. A lot of guys have, anxiety in general. And one of the things he talks about there is that thinking causes anxiety, but action cures it. Okay. And one of the things that he invites you to do is have the empowering belief of, I can handle it. I've handled everything else in my life up until this point. I can handle this. Okay. So if you're in a state of anxiety, if you could say, I can handle it, and you look at that evidence of I've handled everything else in my life, otherwise I wouldn't have been here. I wouldn't be here right now if I couldn't, right? That's evidence that supports this new empowering belief of I can handle it, okay? So I want you to do that. Any kind of negativity in your life, right? Like going back to the brother in Wolfpack who's worried about money right now, okay? Instead of going, oh, things are tight, I don't know, things, whatever, start thinking of I can handle it, right? I can handle it. I'll make it through this. We'll figure it out, okay? If you think from that empowering belief of possibility, you're living in a world of possibility instead of a world of lack, right? So I want you to think about that right now. Think about think of any kind of negative belief that you might have about yourself, your capabilities, or whatever's happening in your life right now. Think about that. Think of the polar opposite, okay? And say the empowering belief behind that, okay? And you'll find that you feel almost like a sense of relief, right? Or did you, right? Like, how does that feel to say the empowering belief? Okay. Most people might even feel like an expansion. They might feel like, oh, weight's lifted off me. Okay. Your body knows. The belief that makes you feel more like yourself, more capable, more open, that one is aligned with what's actually real about you. Okay. This is where like Transurfing talks about your heart knows. Okay. When you look at the empowering belief, a lot of your stress is going to go away. Okay. The contraction, when you feel all tight and stuff like that, that was the lie that was programmed into you. Okay. So you've got to do different things to unprogram that. A good place to do that, guys, would be in the Wolfpack. Beer Club? Not anymore.
Wolfpack, you fix what's broken. You lead like a man again. No pity, no therapy. Just fire, just flame. Cold bed, broken home, midlife drift, feeling alone. You don't need hacks, blogs, lies. You need men with fire in their eyes. We rebuild from the ground up. No excuses, no soft stuff. Telegram lit 24/7. Brothers locked in steel, not heaven. Step inside the pack. We don't fall, we attack. Truth, fire, presence, we bring it back.
For the love of God, too sweet me for that one. Is it Steel Cyan? Is that it? He says, sounds like intuition. Yeah, a lot of intuition. You know, one of the things I don't like about reality transurfing is the guy uses a lot of fucking flowery bullshit to talk about some of this stuff. And one of the things that he talks about when it comes to following your intuition is he's like, you just got to sit and listen to the rustle of the morning stars. I'm like, why don't you just fucking say intuition, bro? Like, fucking Russians. I don't know. Fucking Russian pinkos. I'm just kidding. $5,000 super chat. All of this woo-woo sounds like misogyny. It does. It's absolute misogyny.
Misogyny.
Definitely. Oh shit. I don't have the woo-woo video up. Hold on. Let me see if I can upload the woo-woo video here. Hold on. Where is it? It's in this folder, drops, and here we go. We'll upload this one just to add to that super chat. Ty says the 3-second rule really helps. Yeah. The 3-second rule, in which he explains here, is counting to 3, then moving forward, gets you out of your head and into action. That's a good rule to follow, especially when you're in any kind of situation, right? Like where maybe your boss is going to lecture you, or you're going to you think that an argument's going to happen with your wife and she's getting you up in your feels. Just take 3 seconds before speaking. Just take 3 seconds, process it before blurting out what you're thinking about blurting out, because you're going to regret that shit. Okay, ready? Okay, this is what we're doing today, guys. Magic. Yes, okay. Okay, where are we at here? Okay, so you don't often change your life by changing your actions first. You change your life by changing what you believe is possible, and then the actions tend to follow automatically. Okay, so this is one of the reasons why we do like in the woo-woo space, but also, you know, what I teach in psychology paradigm. This is one of the things that we do with affirmations. Okay, affirmations, that repetitiveness, and then sort of visualizing what life is like based on what you're saying to yourself on repeat, reprograms. What doesn't necessarily reprogram those? What's his name? Rafe Dietor sort of pointed out to me too. The old neural pathways are always still going to be there. Okay, you're creating new neural pathways when you're doing this stuff. It's just easier to say you're reprogramming, right? But you're creating these new beliefs. And these new beliefs tend to move us into action. And the way that we do that is we get these ideas, we get these epiphanies, like I should try this. Maybe I should read this book. Maybe I should look into this. And then actions tend to follow. This is why we say, or at least I say, and I learned this from Bob Proctor, that our results in life come from our actions, but our actions come from our beliefs, right? It comes from our subconscious programming. So if you want to change your results, you got to change your actions. And the way you change your actions is first starting up in your head. Okay. So you got to change those beliefs first. Now, a lot of guys give up because of this echo phenomenon, right? So you make a new decision about yourself, but then the old feelings show back up and you think, it didn't work. Okay. It didn't work. Those are echoes. Okay. Now, here's an interesting concept I got from this. God, I got to remember this guy's name. He has a really good YouTube channel. One of these days, I think it starts with an E. I don't know. One of the things that he talks about is this idea of, like we talk about 2 steps forward, 1 step back. That's a Corey Wayneism when it comes to like dealing with women. 2 steps forward, 1 step back. This guy says a lot of us, when we have goals and we're trying to execute a new belief system, we tend to operate in a state of 1 step forward, 1 step back, right? Because when you take that 1 step forward, obstacles show up, things you've never dealt with before, and you use those current realities as a belief that this isn't working. It's not going to work, right? It just further proves your old belief, like, it's not for you. It's not for you. So you take a step back to get back into your comfort zone, right? The only way to move forward is to see your current reality as it's just a reflection. It's just an echo of your past beliefs and behavior. Your current reality is not who you are. It's who you were. Okay. Your reality right now is just a mirror of your past. The current reality is a mirror of your past. So if you want a different future, you have to keep pushing forward, even if your current reality doesn't reflect it. You understand? You understand? But a lot of people give up because they're looking for proof that it's working. I need proof. I need proof. I need proof. And when that proof doesn't show up, they give up. They just quit. Okay. So if you really want to push forward, a good way, I saw this other lady's YouTube video, and I thought it was actually a pretty good explanation. She was saying how when you are in that position where like your bank account doesn't match your new belief, and if you want to say, see, it's not working, don't tell yourself that. Just say, well, reality hasn't caught up yet. Reality's still adjusting itself. Reality is still adjusting itself. It's a good way of looking at things, right? Okay. Because that'll keep you moving forward. It'll keep you moving forward. All right. Now, going back to the chart here, let me bring that up again, because it's just a good visual, man. It's just a good, it's a solid visual right there. Right. Going back up to the chart. So Hawkins at the 500 level there of love, it's structural. Okay. It's not soft. Oh, love. Oh, is Paul talking about love? What? He's gay, right? Being in love is gay, right? When you're operating at love, reason, or acceptance, which is even slightly below that, right? Love, reason, or acceptance, you're not being naive. Okay. You're just playing the game at a level where opportunities tend to appear that are literally invisible to the guy who's stuck down in fear, anger, and rage. Okay. The map's real. Okay. The map's real. You can see it once you can try to stay up in these higher vibrations. You'll start seeing life way differently. You'll start seeing life, lots of positive things start happening for you when you're operating up here. And you'll notice that more negative shit happens when you're operating down here. Okay. It's a fundamental fact. You can't deny it once you start seeing it. Okay. You can't unsee this shit. All right. So you want to operate from up here as much as possible. Okay. You want to operate from up there as much as possible. Now, what's interesting is when you look at it from a red pill perspective, when you look at love from a red pill perspective, you realize that men and women love differently. Okay. Men love the way that the Bible describes love. And you got to understand that the Bible, even if it was inspired by God, hold on. How does the Bible describe love? Let's see. Describe love. Yes. So if you look at like 1 Corinthians, right? Defines love as patient, kind, not envious, not boastful, not proud, not rude, not self-seeking. Okay. Like all that kind of stuff. It was written by men. It might've been inspired by God, but it was written by a man. Women don't love that way. Women are, they really do love based on what you provide for them. Okay. Like the protection, like how you make them feel depends on whether they love you or not. And a man can love a woman even if he's mad at her, right? He's angry at her. He doesn't necessarily respect her that much, but he can still love her, right? This is why men can, a rich millionaire will marry a barista, but a woman would never. A woman who's a rich boss babe lawyer would never marry a male barista, right? She would never do that. It's because men and women love differently. Well, if you look at, once you get past the red pill rage phase and start moving up the 5 stages of unplugging, it comes to acceptance, right? This is how it is. This is how women are. Don't hate them for it, right? That's acceptance. That's actually a higher level of vibration, right? And then when you accept how women love and operate and you don't hate them for it, you can still love them. You can still love them. So a lot of red pill is really about like not hating women. It's about loving women for who they are and not hating them for who they can never be. You understand? You're operating from a higher vibration. Okay. Let me hide that again. So the man you want to become already has a different set of beliefs. Okay. So I'd like you to think about it from this point of view. Your future self, who's operating by already achieving the goals that you want in life, whether it's, better relationships, more money, better health, right? That guy, the guy in the future, he already has a different set of beliefs. He has a different set of beliefs than you. This guy that's operating in this different reality in the future that you want to get to, he's operating from a different set of paradigms already, right? He doesn't think that the market's unfair. He doesn't think good women don't exist. He doesn't think it's too late for him, right? The gap between you and him isn't necessarily time or resources. It's the story that your current self is telling about himself. So in order to change that, in order to start living like the guy in the future, you have to start thinking like the guy in the future, as if it's already happening. Then your reality is going to catch up to that guy. Okay, that's how this shit works. Okay, I'm not. This isn't fucking woo-woo chick crack bullshit. This is how the fucking universe is designed. Okay. It's designed with these specific laws in mind. So radical responsibility is going to be the hardest and most powerful thing that you can do. Okay. The moment you stop blaming the economy, stop blaming your past, your ex, your upbringing, right? Like almost all of us are recovering nice guys. We can be pissed off at our fucking dads or our absence of dads all we want. We can be mad at our moms all we want for being nice guys, but that doesn't move us forward. Okay. So you stop blaming all that shit and you say, my beliefs created this. My beliefs can change it. That's the moment you actually get your power back, because now you're taking ownership. Okay. You're taking control of your own life. That's one of the things I love about Red Pill. That's one of the things I love about this woo-woo shit, is it puts the power of your life in your hands and you start making life happen for you however you want. And life stops happening to you. Okay. But it starts with a choice, and it starts with how you decide to start moving forward. Okay. You can't really think your way out of a belief. You have to choose your way out. Okay. This isn't about affirmations you don't believe yet. It's about making a committed decision and then holding that decision, even when the oldest evidence shows up to argue with you. Okay. That's where your character is going to be built. And that's where you're going to start seeing changes. All right. Is when you sit down, you make a choice and you're like, I need to start thinking like the guy in the future. The way you start doing that is by programming those beliefs in now. That's where things like affirmations and the visualization and journaling and all that kind of stuff, really helps with that, because it starts programming those beliefs in now. Okay. And you got to stop looking at your current situation, your current reality, as evidence of it not working. You can't, because this is still your current position right now is still based on old you. Okay. So the more you start thinking of new you, or thinking like new you, like it's already happened, the more that reality is going to start unfolding in front of you as you're stepping. Okay. And it's going to start appearing this way. And it's going to blow your fucking mind when it happens. Okay. One changed belief changes everything downstream. So one belief about your worth changes how you show up in business. That changes your income. That changes how you carry yourself. That changes your relationships. It's not just a self-help exercise. Okay. It's a systems reboot. And it starts with one honest look at the story you've been telling yourself. Okay. Now, what's fascinating is I've been studying a lot of this type of shit lately. I'm really into Neville Goddard. Neville Goddard's awesome. He doesn't talk about like law of attraction, like, oh, this shit comes to you like a fucking magnet. He looks at it like the law of assumption, right? Our reality is based on beliefs that we assume. Okay. That seems more plausible to me, because that seems more like how reality shows up. And then Transurfing sort of piggybacks on that. And they're like, we don't attract things into our life. We choose a different timeline, is how they talk about it. Right. So you got to look at it from, are any of them like 100% right? Probably not, right? Like that's one of the things I mentioned earlier, you know, like there's all these different models of belief. They're all essentially saying the same thing. They're just saying it from a different way of looking at it so that it's easier to wrap your mind around, right? So however you want to look at it, it doesn't matter as long as it gets you where you're going. Okay. That's what I love about this type of woo-woo shit is it doesn't really matter why it works. It just works. So you got to find whatever model that you can operate in. But if you tell yourself it's chick crack and it makes you not want to do this stuff, I'm telling you, you're operating at a lower vibration and you need to get up higher and start believing this shit. Okay. That's all we got, guys. Let's see here. We've got, let's see here. Tacitus says, oh, I don't know what the fuck he's talking about. Your mindset is everything. This is Dar Fitness. Your mindset is everything. I am trying to instill that in my daughter right now with Algebra 2. She says she isn't good at it. I just constantly tell her she isn't good yet, but she will be. Yeah. You know, you try to get her to think about, I was in a business coaching a couple of years ago. And when I first got into it, I said, man, this is all wild. I've never done this before, but I'm going to get it. I'm going to get it. The thing is, when we tell ourselves that we're going to do something in the future, right? Or I will be, or I'm going to be in the future, we're essentially telling ourselves we're not yet. We don't have it yet. And that keeps us where we're at. But if you tell your daughter to start saying, I'm getting this, like I'm already grasping it, she'll do much better, right? That's present tense thinking, okay? And that is absolutely woo-woo, as John says. Yes, 1,000-foot tow rope with reality. You know that bastard Ryan Stone with his fucking 1,000-foot tow rope and his fucking, I don't know, what does he have, like 75 books now? I don't know. Fuck that guy. Just kidding. Love Ryan Stone. All right, guys, that's all I got for the podcast today. I hope you guys got value out of it. Tune into the podcast on Monday. I'm going to do a short series based on my third book in the Red Pill Guides series, which I haven't really talked about too much since December when it came out. But I'm going to do a series based on Keep Your Bitch, where like my other previous books, we're going to go through the concepts a chapter a week. Okay. And I haven't done that too much since December. And I thought it would be good to go through it for guys who are either in new relationships or for guys who are making progress and turning their marriages or their relationships around, and they're actually doing solid work at fixing their relationships. Because that's what this book is for. It's for guys who are in new, fresh relationships and they don't want to fuck it up. And then guys who have managed to turn things around their relationship and they want to keep it going. Okay. That's what Keep Your Bitch is about. So we're going to do a 10-week series on the concepts from Keep Your Bitch. And so chapter 1's all about the foundations of a dominant masculine presence, which is a concept from R.P. Thor. And it's what we're talking about in the essential skills of a masculine presence psychology paradigm there. Okay. So tune into that on Monday. But that's all we got, guys. If you haven't done so already, please like, subscribe, hit those notifications. I have new episodes every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. That's all we got. We will see you guys next time.
This has been the Come On Man podcast. Now, go out and get it.